Hey there, I'm Eric. Today we're going to talk a little about some stuff you can do to improve your strumming in your right hand to get a good solid right hand strumming attack. So a couple things. One is the basic mechanics of strumming. Going through all these strings as quickly as you can to give you the perception that you're just going through one big string instead of more of what we think of as an arpeggio. So we need to get the pick to move through the strings quickly with the least amount of resistance. So here's a good way to practice it. It's going to make your strumming a lot cleaner. So what I like to start is look at where our mechanics of strumming come from. We get some movement from our arm, and so if we fuse our wrist very tightly and we come across the strings like so, and I like to take my left hand just to cover the strings up so you get like a nice chunk of sound. And if you get this feeling with a nice downstroke of your arm moving through the string with your wrist being rigid, you feel a lot of resistance and you get a lot of sound. You get a real tight sound to your strumming. And so I'll practice warming up, just getting my arm used to that motion. Now from that, I think there's three things. So you've got the motion of your arm, right? Now our next motion is something we don't use a whole lot, which is the motion of our wrist, moving our hand up and down. So now the next thing we're going to work on is going to come from our wrist, moving like so. Okay. Now what that's going to do, if we come up with our arm, as we come down and we cock our wrist up, it adds to that speed coming through the strings. So if we were to take just our right hand and pretend like it's kind of screwed right in here over top of our bridge, and I'm moving just from my wrist, and I'm coming through those strings. Now you'll really feel this in your forearm as you come through the strings. You want to really work that, really work on following through. So remember, it's going to be the combination of all three of these things. The third part of strumming is based on this idea. Now, as you're moving through the strings and as your pick is coming across the strings, I like to think of this thing as turning the doorknob. It's the same muscle that you use for turning a screwdriver. If I'm looking at you like this, and if my pick's coming down across the strings, if I turn the screwdriver, if my wrist comes out like that, or turning a doorknob, that's going to help propel my pick through the strings, right? So I'm practicing this big rotation, right? So three things to practice. You practice a stiff wrist, you practice your wrist moving up and down, then you practice the rotation. Now ultimately what it is, it's all three of those things together, but I find that practicing them individually will really help your power and your strength a lot of your strumming stroke. So the last idea of this turning the doorknob is what that's going to do is if you think about your pick coming down across the strings, if I brought the pick down where it's pointed at the floor and tried to do a down strum, the pick would get stuck in the strings. There's too much resistance. But by angling my hand slightly down, the pick can come across the strings a lot easier. Now of course if I angle my pick coming up, I'll come right back through those strings. So again, just a strong arm is not going to do you much. Moving from your wrist, it's cool, but you can still use a little bit of arm in there. And it's all three of those. They'll give you that real. We'll give you a nice clear strumming stroke. So try those in three parts. Stiff wrist, just wrist, rotating. It'll change your life. Good luck.